Further developments, industry role players have sought to point out opportunities in the investment property space. Some of the gains highlighted include financial growth and generational wealth creation. Consumers are also urged to be strategic about which areas to look to for maximum advantage. Devmco Realty Pam Naidu discusses this with us. Thank you so much for giving us your time, Pam. It's quite vital that we look for opportunities in the current economic climate, but let's first define what an investment property looks like, especially in South Africa's context, where maybe a built back room type of setup could also be used as exactly that, or even letting out a property that one owns. Hi, Pam. We seem to be having an issue with your connection. Super. I can hear you clearly now. I wanted us to start with defining an investment property in South Africa, what that would look like, because the market is quite varied depending on which area of strategic value you are in. I referenced the likes of back rooms or putting a house that you already own to let.
So the rental market in the current economic conditions, Tim is saying, has been phenomenal. We're finding a massive uptick in people wanting to rather rent than buy. The market has been challenging for the last year in terms of property sales. So the rental market has been in an upsurge. So that is a brilliant thing for investors, because if somebody is buying a property and it's not to live in, then the rental yield has been fairly good. We find that, the yield could be anything from 5 going up to 10%, and it could be more. So an investment property really is something that you'll invest in, that you want to obviously attract a yield, and choosing that property is vital. The area, the suburb that you'll choose, having access to amenities, shopping, road networks, schooling, healthcare, all those are vital aspects when you're choosing an investment property. But I think what the buyer, the purchaser is looking for is the yield and the returns. And I'll further talk about off-plan developments, because that's what I specialize in. With off-plan developments, you're putting down a 10% deposit, and you've got the 2 years or so of construction, and you've got, during that construction phase, you've got capital appreciation, and then as soon as the property is ready, you then start attracting your rental yields.
Let's talk about exactly that in terms of buying off-plan, the gains, the pros as well as the cons in terms of the negative side of that. What are the trends that we're seeing in that area?
All right, so with off-plan developments, with my association with, and I've done quite a portfolio, we've done 5 billion of that in the last 9 years in the KZN coastline. So I've seen quite a lot of transactions. And what I find is the developer's got to be reputable. The credibility of the developer is extremely important. So when you're investing in off-plan, you've got to do a proper background check on the developer, because his credibility will ensure that that project is going to be completed and you're going to get your property at the end of it. Otherwise, it could be a daunting process and a very long wait. So that's vital. The second, massive gain on off-plan development is it doesn't attract transfer duty. So transfer duty is a substantial amount of costs when it comes to your registration. You'll have transfer costs, which is plus minus 3%, as opposed to about 9 to 10% on transfer duty. So massive saving there. And the other upside also is when you're buying off-plan, you're buying new architectural styles. It's modern trends in terms of design, more energy efficient solutions that's added to your build. And your maintenance. When you're buying a new property, it's much lower maintenance. It's going to be very little, if any. So those are massive savings for an investor, because he doesn't want to dive into his pocket too much. And you're getting the capital appreciation, like I said, after 2 or 3 years, depending on the build period.
Fascinating, but I must also ask, as a parting shot, whether we're seeing an increase in South Africans participating in this type of investment vehicle.
So we did have a challenging 23 into half of 2024. But we're finding an uptick in the last 2 months. It's been phenomenal. Yes, lots of investors. The coastline in KZN has been phenomenal. I know the Western Cape is seeing a massive surge. So we're happy. We've seen an uptick. When you've had quite a lull and suddenly there is quite a lot of activity, for us, it's welcomed and we're excited, and we know that this trend is going to continue. We're just hoping for the interest rate cuts in the last quarter.
Yep.
So hopefully we're going to get that. And if that happens, then, happy days.
Many of us are eager for those happy days. Thank you so much for your contribution. That is Pamela Naidu of Devmco Realty talking to us about investment property and the trends that we are seeing in that particular space.